Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gunpowder and Freedom. So first off, hope everybody had a nice Christmas, and by the time this video comes out, a nice New Year's. A couple days after Christmas, we finally got through that winter storm that we got. I think its name was Elliot or something, but I don't know about you guys, but we were battling with like -9-degree temperatures and -3s for probably the better part of 4 or 5 days. First time in a while that us Pennsylvanians have seen a white Christmas, so that was pretty nice. Could have done without that cold, but now that everything's starting to warm up, I can come up to the shop. I can do some work up here where I don't have to have the heater running constantly. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some stuff situated here, and I'll show you guys what we have going on. Okay, so I need to do a quick cleaning on the floor. My dad cleaned it up after his last set of countertops. Looks pretty good. Just want to go over it and make sure we don't have any debris, because we are doing countertops. And as I've stated in previous videos, you need to make sure the floor is completely free of any sort of debris so it doesn't hold your melamine up and give you a little bow or a curve in your countertops. These particular ones are for a friend of mine who just got a house a few months ago and he's redoing it. Wants some concrete countertops for in the kitchen. So pretty easy, straightforward set. We have a couple pieces here and here, one little piece here. We have a stove. I believe the refrigerator is going here. I could be wrong. Then we have a farmhouse sink, so we'll have a nice little opening right here. The dishwasher right here, but this piece will span the whole length. Him and his girlfriend said they wanted them black with black cream coating. You know, not fully monotoned, but not a whole lot of air pockets. You know, they said a little bit of character is fine. So we'll talk our way through that whenever we get there. But as far as this farmhouse sink, this actually helps us out a lot, because the farmhouse sink is going to be open on the front, and you'll have a nice big face on your actual sink. So our countertop is going to be open the whole way here. And the reason this helps us out is because we'll have a little piece right back here that will have 2 little seams right there. Other than that, there's no other seams in this. We can do all of these individual pieces, and then we can do this angled piece on its own, and then this piece on its own. So like I said, the only 2 seams that we're going to have are going to be coming off the back side of the sink here and here. So I'm going to get the camera set up, get the floor clean. And I know I've said it in the past previous videos, I do have 3 or 4 videos out. It's called Gotta Pay the Bills. I broke it up into 4 parts because I was very thorough, explained every single step I could. So now these countertop videos, I'm just going to kind of speed through them, a lot of time lapse, maybe a little bit of voiceover work, but if you have any other questions about this process or the way we do things, either check out one of those videos, that's the Gotta Pay the Bills series, or drop me a comment and ask away, and I will do my best to get back to everybody. So thanks. As always, start off by scraping the floor clean to make sure there's no debris stuck to it. Then sweep all the debris away from your working area. Lay your melamine down, make sure it's nice and flat and there's no nicks or anything on the finished side. I laid my template down upside down. That's how you want to pour these. The melamine is going to ensure that the top is nice and smooth and makes polishing easy. Then I run the back form and trace the template, and then I label each side as to if it's a finished edge, a wall, or something like that. And then you can run your forms as needed. These are just square edges, so there's no need to hold out an extra 3/4 inch for the broken stone liner. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that time lapse. This is what we were able to get done. Lost my measurement for this piece, so I had to run up to Chad's house real quick and get that measured out, but I got this area formed up. This is the piece that wraps around to the sink. This is the piece behind the sink. As you can see, I have where the faucet needs to be screwed in at, the template for that. So we'll get that cut and made real quick. I have one of the square pieces there, 2 more square pieces there. I was able to turn this sideways and fit that in there. It saves me a piece of melamine to form on. This is the other side of the sink. And yeah, the other 2 pieces. So next step is to give the surface a wipe down, make sure it's all nice and clean, free of debris, get the wire cut put in, get my opening for my faucet put in, and then I am ready for concrete. I got to go pick up all the materials, so I'm going to go do that, and I'll see you guys back here to get these poured. Okay, so got my 5 bags of play sand, 1 bag of Portland per batch, so we have 2 batches here. We have our microfiber. I have more in the shop. I still need to go weigh out my super plasticizer, and then our color. Now, my friend Chad said that him and his girlfriend wanted these things black, so went ahead, figured out the appropriate weight for the color, and doubled it. I believe we are at 8 pounds of color. Typically with deep charcoal, in order to get like a nice deep charcoal color, the math ended up being about just over 4 pounds, so we just doubled that, and it was like 4 pounds and like 0.7 ounces, so whatever. Just kind of rounded it to 4, doubled it, so they should be black. I like to add in 3 bags of play sand, then the Portland, then the color and fiber, and let that mix around real nice so everything gets mixed up. Then I add in the water, then the Super P, and finally I top it off with the last 2 bags of sand and add water as needed. First I put enough concrete in just to cover the surface to make sure everything you see is going to be the same batch of concrete so all of the color matches. Here I had to go refill the barrel. So now I'm spreading out the rest of the concrete and putting my wire in. Then I top it off with the second batch of black concrete and straight edge it flat. After I straight edge it, I trowel it nice and smooth so it sits on the cabinets and I know there's no debris that'll be holding any of the corners up. Okay, so there they are, poured, straight edged, troweled. So the bottoms will be nice and flat. They'll sit real nice on the top of the cabinets. I made these 3 little squares so that I could do some samples for him. I know he said he wanted, you know, pretty much straight black and black on black. You know, this is kind of when I get to have a little bit of fun and do a couple different colors of cream coat just to kind of see what'll happen. Really, if we have white cement laying around here, I'd really like to see what white cream coat does on top of that. So yeah, I don't know, just 3 little pieces for me to play around with. So we'll get these covered up, get cleaned up, and then let them sit for the next 3 days. So that's that. Okay, so the countertops have sat now for a few extra days. I was working on these samples to send over to Chad. Anytime somebody says, you know, hey, just do whatever you want, you know, here's kind of what we're looking for, but, you know, if you think of something else, do that. I always try to make samples just because, you know, it gives, not only does it give the customer, the client, a couple extra options, but it also helps me figure out, hey, you know what, this could be a cool color combination for down the road. So Chad and Madison wanted just standard black. They wanted black concrete, black cream coat. So I said, well, let's try a couple other things too, just to make sure you guys know all of the different possibilities. So we did a gray overlay. You know, obviously that's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, doesn't look too bad. You know, might look good with some color combinations with the wall flooring. Not for them. However, I thought this looked really cool. I wanted to use white cement, however, didn't have white cement, and white cement is now running about $100 a bag, so I didn't want to spend that much money for a sample. So this is pewter. I just loaded up some gray Portland with, you know, tons and tons of pewter coloring. So it's a very, very light gray. And I mean, honestly, I think that looks pretty sweet. I might have to keep that in mind for my house. Anyways, they agreed that they like the black on black better, so I'm going to go ahead and start polishing. If you want to know more about the polishing process, the number of pads, you know, whatever, grit, check out one of those other videos. Here's a link to the one video that I really cover that in detail. So I'll try to do some voiceovers, but for the most part, this is going to be a time lapse. Any questions, drop them in my comments and I'll try to get back to you guys. Yeah, enjoy. When you start polishing, I typically start with the 50 grit pads to rip the top down and open up any exposed pores. Then I switch over to the 200 pads to glaze the top to make it nice and smooth so it doesn't hold an excess amount of cream coat. After I'm done with that, I give it a quick rinse with the water coming out of our DS301 polisher. Here I'm using the hand polishing pads for the edge. The green is the 50 grit and the red is the 200 grit. Again, the 200 grit just makes sure that the top is nice and smooth and doesn't hold an excess amount of cream coat. After I'm done polishing the tops, I really like to spray the tops off with the garden hose. That way I know all of the debris is off. The cream coating material is just Portland cement and the appropriate color. In this case it's black, so I spread that on. This stuff got a little bit on the wetter side as it was drawing the moisture out of the open pores, so I just added some dry Portland to tighten it back up, and I kept working it around to make sure it was getting into all the pores. After it set for a little bit, I used a grout float to smooth the top out and get all the excess cream coat on. This way polishing on round 2 will go a lot faster. Okay, so here they are. The countertops are all cream coated. Everything looks like it's drying really nice. Now, if you noticed, I know I mentioned it in the voiceover, but as I was applying the cream coat, the moisture that was coming up out of the concrete was making my Portland and charcoal coloring mixture a little bit too wet. So I took some regular gray dry cement, sprinkled it on, worked it in, and yeah. The edges are all nice and floated out off, so hopefully it's just going to be a one and done sort of polish. The ones that really get me are the little tiny pinholes that are through here. If they're not filled up, then I'll have to cream coat it again. So we will give it until tomorrow morning, come back up, polish them off, and evaluate. Hopefully I can be done and just seal them. What is today, Friday? Sunday? I can seal them Sunday. If not, I'll have to cream coat them again tomorrow morning, let them dry after I polish them Sunday then, and get them sealed next week. So yeah, I'll see you guys here. If you do your cream coat right the first time, you should only have to use the 200 grit pads to polish. It comes off really fast, so you don't have to spend a whole lot of time polishing the surface. I like to use a broom to sweep out all of the excess water on the floor. That way it also cleans the floor while I'm pushing the water out. I do this to make sure I don't flood the basement. Next, I clean up the edges with the polishing pads. These ones, I always use the 50s first, then the 200s. And then I run the 50 grit hand polishing pad underneath the edge. That way the top, side, and the bottom are nice and smooth. Okay, so I blew the standing water off the tops of the countertops and I turned the furnace on. You might be able to hear that running. A little bit of heat and no standing water on the top. These things will dry probably in the next few hours. If I can't get them sealed tonight, I will be back up here first thing tomorrow morning before we go pour a basement. And yeah, we'll get these things all sealed up and then buffed. So stay tuned.